Miami Marlins are calling up Agustín Ramírez to make his major league debut at some point in the upcoming homestand. My guess would be maybe on Tuesday. I mean, early as tomorrow would be great since Liam Hicks did catch today. But here with Eli, should have Carver on soon. Should have a lot more of our staff. But Agustín Ramírez, it's time. Probably should have happened a long time ago. But someone who really impressed throughout spring training, had a really good spring. Just really needed to show that he could catch. Showed some improvements on that front, but Eli, one of our top prospects. Just looking it up right now, he is number three. I want to say in our system. Yeah, number three prospect, fish on first top 30, getting the call up, and someone got the win on the call up contest there for sure.
I did. He was
Oh,
one of my call.
finally!
He was one of my call of contest picks. Yes, I was very confident he was going to debut this year. Just to get to the point about why he's being called up now, it's because Rob Brantley got hurt. You could see it on a swing that he had in the top of the fifth inning, I believe it was today, and then he kept swinging a couple after that. The training staff didn't seem to take notice that there was something wrong with his right shoulder, so he's definitely going on the IL. We'll see for how long, but at the very least, Augustine, he was already on the 40-man roster, so that was the logical move. I mean, the only other alternative was maybe Brian Navarreto, who's the backup at AAA, who's not even on the 40-man. But they didn't really. That would have created just another big headache for a team that has a full 40-man. Augustine, he's ready offensively. He is not ready defensively. I'm sure we're going to get into that, but I'm excited, all things considered.
Alrighty, Carver. This is one of your guys. You're really high on him, at least on the offensive side. We know how you feel about him defensively. What are your thoughts on Ramirez getting the call up? I mean, coming off the heels of a huge win in Philly.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, after that, a couple, what was it, last week, where that deadline passed, where they could save the year of control. This was kind of expected. We were just kind of waiting, and I think, as Eli said, the injury to Brantley is what kind of has spurred this. Um, yeah, what Eli said is true. This guy is ready offensively and not ready at all defensively. So, I mean, he's already allowed 22 stolen bases this year in AAA to oppositions. He's only caught 6 runners. So you will see a still very raw catcher defensively, but a decent bat. The thing to worry about is strikeouts. He has a 22% K rate this year in AAA. I think that will go up even more at the major league level, especially to start. But no, it's the Marlins have nothing else to lose except for more games. So it's fine. I'm excited to see this guy play at the highest level. I'm excited to see what he can do, especially offensively, and hopefully he can be coached defensively. I will still stick to the fact that I think eventually the Marlins will move off of him as a catcher because I don't think he's a catcher. But the bat plays. I think it will still play even amidst a high strikeout rate. The power's for real. Yeah, and if he could be coached by Marlins coaches to even improve a little bit more, especially in terms of strikeouts and swing decisions, I think that this is a decent prospect, even if he moves off to DH or first base, which I think is where his home eventually will be. So, not bad timing. I'm not mad about it. I think the only other guy that was in the question here would have been Navarreto, or maybe Heriberto Hernandez, can kind of fake it as a catcher, but isn't really a catcher either. But no, not bad at all. The timing is fine. They have the extra year of control in their back pocket, so it's fine. And I'm excited to see this guy play against the Reds.
Just for a quick, I guess, backstory on this whole catching situation with the Marlins acquired Ramirez in a three-player package for Jazz Chisholm Jr. It was with Jared Serna and Abraham Ramirez. And Nick Fortes went down with the oblique strain, which meant that Rob Brantley got the contract selection, and he returned to action for the first time with the Fish since 2013. Then he went down with a swing injury today, like a shoulder injury, and they're now calling up Augustin Ramirez, which he had his contract selected for the 40-man roster this offseason, along with, I want to say it was Dax Fulton and Jared Serna, I want to say. So yeah, so it'll be a simple, you put Brantley on the IL, and and Ramirez gets a call up. So I mean, in hindsight, Eli, this trade is starting to look pretty good for the Marlins. With what Cerna's doing, Ramirez obviously still very young, but I mean, we're starting to finally see that trade come to fruition, at least at the major league level, and it's looking like one of the better deals of that deadline. I know it's early to say, but I mean, just what Ramirez has done offensively, it's really impressive, and it's one of the safer profiles, at least in the Marlins system so far.
Yeah, his stock has gone up since the trade, and it was going up right before the trade as well. But even since then, just how well rounded he is offensively, the batted ball quality is awesome, but he's also really disciplined. And yeah, the question is where you play him. And the Marlins this year have been insistent on, they continue to insist on him being a catcher to the point that he hasn't even gotten any reps at any other position this season. Only catcher, not even first base, where he did play a decent amount last year with both the Yankee system and in Jacksonville. So that puts him in a position where they just needed an opening at catcher to call him up. There was a case to be made that he should have come up instead of Brantley last week, but it really, it's hard to, I can see both sides of it just because he is still very flawed defensively. If you want to give him time and an opportunity to get better, I don't think learning it in the big leagues is going to go all that well for him. Well, certainly it's going to be difficult for them to overcome that to win games if there's just mistakes made in really inconvenient situations. So I'm kind of torn on this because I don't think they should really be focusing on him as a catcher anyway. But if they are going to do it, what is the best environment for him to do that? I really don't know. I just know that the bat is ready. He's a guy that should be getting DH opportunities on days when he isn't catching. And that's what makes him kind of unique. He is at that threshold of catchers that the Marlins have not had whatsoever since the Real Muto trade. I guess you could say Alfaro. There were some moments with Jorge Alfaro in like 2019 where you're like, this guy can DH for us on days when he's not catching and still contribute. So I'd say that is kind of the, when have the Marlins last had something like this? You could say it's sort of Alfaro, except he has better plate discipline. And yeah, I think he's just going to be a better all-around hitter than Alfaro was. As things currently line up, I think it's pretty simple. Where you kind of Wagman and Mervis platooning at first base, and then on most other days, yeah, I think at least once a week you could have Augustine DHing himself and getting him in the lineup. It's been, as we could unpack, the reason why the Marlins have been losing games have been more so for their pitching staff than their offense. They've actually been finding a way somehow to score runs with these really unexpected contributors offensively. So their big issue has actually been preventing runs more so than scoring it. All things considered, it is an upgrade for them. And it's at a point, as we could get into, where they've already got that extra year of club control. They're long enough into the season where he's 7 years away from free agency, all the way through 2031. The only reason they continue waiting is if you're really getting greedy and thinking about arbitration and trying to push back his arbitration eligibility by an extra year. But they've already got the main thing they were looking for. The reason why he wasn't really in consideration for an opening day spot. And in the meantime, so now for the near term future, we'll see what happens when Nick Fortes comes back, which shouldn't be all that long. Coming back from one of the many guys that's had an oblique strain, but in the meantime, you got a rookie catching combo of Hicks and Augustin. That is pretty unusual.
I guess
I
that's where
think I think that and Eli already called this out. The main reason that you see this player called up now is because he's on the 40-man roster. But I mean, I don't know if that should be the only reason that this player was called up, because there's another catcher in the system that I believe is more ready than Agustín Ramírez, and that's Joe Mack. Joe Mack is much more ready to play Major League Baseball, in my opinion, than Agustín Ramírez, not only offensively but especially defensively. So I don't know. I thought there was ways they could go to get a 40-man roster spot cleared if this was going to be the spot for a big prospect. I thought that Joe Mack probably should have been the top prospect call up over Agustín Ramírez, and I'm not mad about it. I'm excited to see this guy play, but I think that there was room to clear out a 40-man spot.
No,
I don't think
well,
that's the
all
only
right.
reason.
If I could jump in just quickly on that, I don't think you see Joe Mack until the very end of the year, or until if Liam Hicks for whatever reason flames out before then. How many catchers can they have on the 40-man at one time? If you have Augustine's already there, Fortes is there, and Hicks needs to stay there, and Mack, you don't have to put him on until after the season. It's hard to navigate with four catchers on your 40-man, especially if three of them are rookies at the same time. Even if we feel very highly about Mack as a prospect, a guy that I guess his ceiling is even higher as an overall player than Augustine is. I don't think that was even a thought in their mind at this stage of the season.
For a team that preaches they'll call you up when you're ready, Joe Mack is more ready than Ramirez. Eli, that's it. I don't. I mean, I know that's posturing. And there is posturing there. Yeah, you have to deal with so many catchers on your 40-man roster. Like, I don't think that even matters. I really don't even think that matters how many catchers you have on your 40-man versus how many you don't, because Agustín Ramirez won't be a catcher, and I think we're all on board with that. So Agustín Ramírez being on the 40-man as a catcher, I think, is a very, very part-time thing. So Joe Mack, I think, should have been the call-up here. I think they should have added Joe Mack to the 40-man and called him up over Ramirez. That's me.
Alrighty, well, really quickly, want to go to Isaac on his thoughts, and on top of that, well, Joe Mack will probably go to AAA now, and where do you see this going, Isaac? Because let's say Ramirez gets up here now, starts off hot, and it's he's forcing the hand to stay up here. What do you do after that? Because you have Liam Hicks, who, as Eli mentioned, needs to be on the 40-man. You have Nick Fortes, who got off to a good start, and I'm sure the pitching staff is a lot more comfortable with a veteran guy. Rob Brantley probably gets DFA'd once he returns.
Yeah, well, Hicks has to be on the 26 man.
26, yeah, you're right. Yep, exactly.
So with Ramirez, assuming he does hit and he does not completely fumble this opportunity offensively anyway, I think that there is definitely wholeheartedly room, probably best case scenario, that when Fortes does come back, that's a little bit down the road, I think, but still, when that does happen, there's definitely room for the three of them on the active 26 man. In my opinion, he should be getting a lot of at bats instead of Eric Wagman, instead of some of these other guys at DH, even first base. I'm not quite sure how many games he has played at first base with Jacksonville this year. I know he's been
0.
catching
He hasn't played at all.
right. So I know he's been catching and DHing, but like I said, it's not like they have a murderer's row right there offensively. And aside from the catcher's position, there's plenty of room for Ramirez um, to take over some at bats. And I really hope it does go well. I do like Joe Mack a lot more overall as a player. I do agree, but I agree with Mr. Eli that I don't think that was in their minds whatsoever. I think I don't know if he'll get the call up to AAA. I assume that would make sense, but wouldn't it be strange for a catcher who's been dealing with the whole Pensacola staff to all of a sudden just move to a new staff in the middle? I don't know. I guess that might be normal. I'm not positive he will go to Jacksonville, but either way, this is a big day for the Marlins organization. You guys touched on it earlier. The trade return for Jazz Chisholm Jr. is this is probably one of the bigger debuts since Yuri Perez, in my opinion. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Kevin will be there for Fish on First tomorrow and for the entire Red Series. So we will have you well covered for these next 3 games.